Tonight, we will discover the story of ancient Rome's greatest leader. Feet that once walked in muddy arenas, footsteps echoing among marble columns, and the vision of a man who changed the world forever. Julius Caesar, not just a general, but a legendary soul who directed the course of history with his own hands, building and destroying empires. Before we begin, don't forget to support us by liking the content and subscribing to the channel. Also share your location and current time with us. Sometimes our stories can take you to the noisy streets of ancient Rome. Sometimes we can search for lost times on the banks of the Tiber. Now let's dim the lights, open the window for a light myrtle branch scent. And tonight let's embark together on Julius Caesar's epic journey. In 100 BC, on one of Rome's 7 hills, in the midst of dense crowds and noisy markets, a child was born in the Julius family house. The moment little Gaius Julius Caesar was born, the Roman Republic was experiencing one of its most critical periods. The city was growing, borders were expanding, but at the same time, internal conflicts were also increasing. Caesar's family was considered noble, but not wealthy. The Julian lineage claimed they descended from the goddess Venus. This was probably an exaggeration, but genealogy mattered in Rome. His father was also named Gaius Julius Caesar and had a modest political career. His mother, Aurelia, was a strong and intelligent woman who played a major role in shaping her son's character. Little Caesar grew up in Rome's Subura district. This was different from aristocratic neighborhoods, a more lively and mixed place. Here, people from different classes lived side by side. Gladiators, slave traders, shopkeepers, poets. This diversity played an important role in developing Caesar's later ability to understand the people. The most distinctive feature of his childhood was curiosity. He questioned everything, wanted to learn everything. His mother Aurelia would patiently answer him, saying, "My son, the only way to understand the world is to ask questions." This advice shaped Caesar's life philosophy. He never accepted the status quo, always sought better. In Rome, aristocratic children generally received education with private tutors. Caesar's first teacher was a Greek scholar named Marcus Antonius Gnipho. Gnipho taught him not only reading and writing, but also the art of rhetoric. Rhetoric was very important in that era. In Rome, the key to political success was being able to speak well. When Caesar was only 7 years old, he could recite Homer from memory. At 8, he knew the intricacies of Greek mythology. But he loved history books most. He would read Alexander the Great's stories over and over, dreaming of being like him. At 9 years old, he saw the Forum Romanum for the first time. This experience deeply affected him. The magnitude of the Forum, the splendor of marble columns, the energy of the crowds gathered there. That day, Caesar promised himself, "One day, I, too, will fill these squares." At 10 years old, he began watching gladiator games. These games were an important part of Roman society. Here, Caesar learned not only violence, but also the art of managing crowds. He observed which moves excited the people, which gestures created silence. At 11 years old, his father passed away. This was the first great loss in Caesar's life. Now he was the man of the family and had to shoulder responsibilities. His mother Aurelia told him, "You are no longer a child. You must behave as a Roman man." This early maturity hardened Caesar's character. Growing up without a father made Caesar more independent. He learned to make his own decisions, succeeded in questioning authority. At the same time, his loyalty to his mother increased. Aurelia became his most trusted advisor. At 13 years old, he wore the toga virilis. This was a sign of manhood for Roman men. Now he could speak in the forum, could receive military training. Caesar officially declared himself an adult at this ceremony and vowed to do great things. He had his first political experience at 15 years old. His uncle, Gaius Marius, was one of Rome's most powerful popular leaders. Marius took Caesar under his wing and taught him the intricacies of politics. "Politics is war by another means," said Marius. "But here the weapon is words, the shield is intelligence." At 16 years old, he experienced his first love. He married a young girl named Cornelia. This marriage was not only love, but also a political alliance. Cornelia's father, Lucius Cornelius Cinna, was Marius's ally and consul. This marriage tied Caesar to the popular party. But this loyalty was dangerous, because a powerful general named Sulla had declared war against Marius. When Sulla seized Rome, he began punishing Marius's supporters. Caesar was also on this list. At 18 years old, he was put on the death list. Sulla told him, "Divorce Cornelia, distance yourself from Marius." But Caesar refused. "I will not sell my honor," he replied. This courage surprised Sulla. He said about young Caesar, "This boy has many Mariuses in him." To protect his life, he had to flee Rome. During this exile period, he went to Asia and did military service. Young Caesar here learned for the first time what real war was. He showed great courage at the siege of Mytilene and won the Corona Civica, citizen's crown. But the exile years gave not only military experience, but also the opportunity to see the world. He saw Greece, visited Asian cities, met different cultures. These experiences broadened his worldview. At 20 years old, after Sulla's death, he returned to Rome. Now he was an experienced, strong, and determined young man. His first job was working at a law office, but his real goal was politics. His first major case involved Marcus Junius. In this case, he defended one of the opposition's important figures and won. This success made him known in Rome. People began saying, "Here is the great orator of the future." At 22 years old, he was elected quaestor. This was Rome's lowest-level magistracy. His duty was to go to Spain and organize financial affairs there. In Spain, he experienced provincial administration for the first time. An interesting event happened in Spain. When he saw Alexander the Great's statue in Gades, he began to cry. Those around him were surprised. Caesar said, "Alexander had conquered the world at my age, while I am still dealing with small matters." This moment showed his great ambition. After returning to Rome, he was elected aedile. In this position, he organized public entertainment. Caesar took advantage of this opportunity and organized magnificent gladiator games. These games were so splendid that the people could not forget Caesar. But these splendid games came at a high cost. Caesar went into great debt. He had to borrow from a rich businessman named Crassus. This debt relationship would later affect his political career. At 30 years old, he was elected Pontifex Maximus. This was Rome's most important religious position. Caesar was now not only a politician, but also Rome's spiritual leader. This title brought him great prestige. At 32 years old, he became praetor. During this position, he proved himself to be a just and effective administrator. The people loved him because he listened to them, sought solutions to their problems. But Caesar's real goal was to become consul. This was Rome's highest magistracy. To become consul required both a lot of money and powerful allies. Caesar found both. With Crassus's money and Pompey's support, he was elected consul, but his colleague Marcus Bibulus constantly opposed him. That year was called the consulship of Julius and Caesar, because Caesar was doing both names by himself. During the consulship, he passed important laws: land reform, fight against corruption, regulation of provincial administrations. These laws satisfied both the people and senators. But Caesar's real dream was military command. After the consulship, he received the governorship of Gaul. Gaul was at that time beyond Rome's borders, a region considered wild. In 58 BC, he went to Gaul. He was now 42 years old and was beginning the greatest adventure of his life. The Gallic campaigns would make Caesar go down in history. His first campaign was against the Helvetii tribe. This tribe wanted to pass through Roman territory while migrating. Caesar did not allow this and defeated them. This victory was met with great joy in Rome. But Caesar did not stop here. He decided to conquer all of Gaul. Behind this decision was both personal ambition and Rome's security. Gallic tribes constantly threatened Rome's borders. The Gallic Wars, lasting 8 years, made Caesar a legendary commander. He used different tactics in each campaign, surprising his enemies. Soldiers trusted him blindly because he never abandoned them. His most difficult war was against Vercingetorix. Vercingetorix was a young and intelligent Gallic leader who had united all the tribes. The siege of Alesia became one of the most famous sieges in history. At Alesia, Caesar was both besieging the city and fighting against the relief army coming from outside. Two-front warfare was very difficult, but Caesar succeeded with perfect engineering work. Vercingetorix was forced to surrender. These victories made Caesar very popular in Rome, but at the same time, senators began to fear him. Caesar was now too powerful, and this power was threatening the balance. During this time, Crassus died, and Pompey distanced himself from Caesar. The triumvirate broke down, and Caesar was left alone. The Senate gave him the order, "Disband your armies, come to Rome." But Caesar knew that if he returned to Rome unarmed, he would be tried and exiled. In 49 BC, he made his biggest decision. He crossed the Rubicon River and entered Italy. This action meant civil war, because no one could enter Rome with their army. "Alea iacta est," the die is cast, he said while crossing the river. These words went down in history. Caesar was now entering a path of no return. Civil war began. On one side was Caesar and his legions. On the other side was Pompey and the Senate. This was not just a fight between two commanders, but a struggle about Rome's future. Caesar's strategy was to move quickly. As he rapidly advanced toward Rome, the cities confronting him opened their gates to him. The people loved Caesar because they knew his sense of justice and generosity. Pompey left Italy and fled to Greece. Caesar went after him. He was defeated at Dyrrhachium, but did not give up. He won his decisive victory at Pharsalus. Pompey fled to Egypt. When Caesar went to Egypt, he learned that Pompey had been killed. This news saddened him because Pompey was once his ally and friend. "I would not want even my enemies to be killed in this way," he said. In Egypt, he met Cleopatra. This encounter was important both personally and politically. A deep bond formed between them. Cleopatra added a new color to Caesar's life. Caesar stayed in Egypt for several months. During this time, he both had a relationship with Cleopatra and organized Egypt's political situation. He had a son from her. Caesarion. He fought with Cato and Scipio in Africa. He defeated them too. Caesar was now the undisputed master of the Roman world. But what would he do with this power? After returning to Rome, he became dictator. This title was given temporarily and in extraordinary situations. But Caesar wanted to make this authority permanent. As dictator, he made many reforms. He organized the calendar. The Julian calendar we use today is his work. He expanded citizenship rights, made land reform, built public buildings. But his most important reform was the forgiveness policy. Instead of killing enemies who fought against him, he pardoned them. This policy is known as Clementia Caesaris, Caesar's mercy. Caesar was not only a military leader, but also a great writer. His commentary, written about the Gallic Wars, has survived to this day. This work is valuable both in terms of history and literature. At the same time, he was a very good orator. Even Cicero appreciated his speaking ability. Caesar was not only powerful, but also a persuasive leader. But his increasing power was creating discomfort. Some senators thought he wanted to become king. Kingship was cursed in Rome. The Republic was considered sacred. Caesar's behaviors also aroused suspicion. He used a golden throne. His statues were erected everywhere. He gave himself divine honors. These behaviors angered Republicans. Marcus Brutus, Cassius, and other senators decided to kill Caesar. Their justification was to save Rome. Caesar's power was threatening the Republic. On March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March, they implemented the assassination plan. As Caesar was going to the Senate meeting, his wife Calpurnia tried to stop him. She had seen bad dreams. A soothsayer had also told him, "Beware the Ides of March." But Caesar did not listen to these warnings. He thought it was impossible to escape fate. When he entered the Senate building, the assassins surrounded him. The first stab was delivered by Casca. Then the others attacked one after another. When Caesar saw Brutus among the attackers, he said, "Et tu, Brute, you too, Brutus." These words became among history's most famous last words. He received 23 stab wounds. He died at the foot of Pompey's statue. This irony was a bitter joke of fate. Caesar's death created great chaos in Rome. The people loved him and cursed the assassins. Marcus Antonius further angered the people with his funeral speech. The assassins thought they had saved the Republic, but actually they had brought the Republic's end. The civil wars that began after Caesar's death completely destroyed the Republic. Augustus, Octavianus, inherited Caesar's legacy. The empire he founded lasted 500 years. Caesar's dreams found reality in Augustus. Caesar's death was not just the end of a man. It was also the end of an era, the beginning of a new age. The Roman Republic died. The Roman Empire was born. His name was used for rulers as Tsar or Kaiser for centuries. Russian Tsar, German Kaiser. All came from Caesar. Caesar was not only a politician and commander, he was also a thinker, writer, reformer. His vision changed Rome, affected the world. His greatest feature was being able to see the future. He knew what was needed for Rome to grow. The republican system could no longer govern this great empire. Caesar's tragedy was being born before his time. More time was needed for his dreams to come true. But he did not have patience. He advanced rapidly. He was an ambitious man, but this ambition served Rome. Personal interests, yes, but at the same time, there was a great vision. He wanted to make Rome the master of the world. After his death, he was deified. Divus Julius, divine Julius, he became. This was a sign of his greatness. Very few people could become gods after death. His story is not only ancient Rome's, but all humanity's story. Power, ambition, vision, tragedy. All aspects of human nature exist in Caesar. Caesar's spirit lives in the marble stones of the Forum Romanum, in the current of the Tiber, in every corner of Rome. He is timeless, powerful, legendary. He will be remembered forever as one of history's greatest leaders. Veni, vidi, vici. I came, I saw, I conquered, was the summary of Caesar's life philosophy. He overcame every obstacle he faced in life this way. Even his death could not defeat him, because his name and legacy became immortal.